Semester number 2, lesson number 31. Our aim today is how did conflicts in Asia further Cold War tensions between the superpowers? And today we are going to talk about Cold War proxy wars. And the term proxy wars means basically wars that were fought between the United States and the Soviet Union, but not really between them, if that makes any sense, right? They were basically using other countries within their realm of influence to do the fighting for them. So we're going to talk about two countries in Asia, all right, Korea and Vietnam, and how their, fight between communism and democracy played into the Cold War. And we're going to talk about U.S. intervention and the domino theory today. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the Korean War. And the Korean War, if you guys know about Korea today, there is still a North and South Korea. And after World War II, Korea was divided. It was divided into a North zone where communists were in control, and a South zone that was controlled by the United States that had a democratic approach. North Korea invaded South Korea in 1950 in an attempt to unify the country and spread communism throughout the entire country. The United States would not let that happen, and they sent in troops. The war reaches a stalemate in 1951. A stalemate means really, no side was gaining land, no side was losing land, with neither side advancing successfully. And Korea remained divided at the 38th parallel. The 38th parallel, as you see on this picture at the right, the 38th parallel is where Korea is split. To the north is communism. To the south is democracy. All right? And we will talk more about that tomorrow in class. What is more, discussed in the history of America, more so than the Korean War, is the Vietnam War. And the Vietnam War was a conflict that occurred in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia from November 1955 until the fall of Saigon on the 30th of April, 1975. It was fought between North Vietnam, supported by its communist allies. The government of South Vietnam was supported by the United States. Now, if we look at this map on the right here, you have South Vietnam, and really Cambodia, Thailand, and Laos, all trying to be democratic, and the United States was pushing them to be democratic, while you have North Vietnam, which is close to China, which we know at this point is communist, and North Vietnam is also communist at this point. And the United States wanted to ensure that communism did not spread. So the United States wants to make sure that communism did not spread, so they believe that by helping the South Vietnamese government resist the attacks of the communist North, they were helping to prevent the spread of communism throughout the world. And remember, this once again follows their policy of containment. All right, the U.S. supported the leader of South Vietnam, Diem, and America supported Diem by sending money, supplies, and military equipment. All right, the United States is involved in this war. The Soviet Union is not involved in this war directly. However, they are helping the North Vietnamese by giving them supplies and money, where the United States is also sending military, quote-unquote, advisors, who are really just soldiers. And the reason America, in both the Korean and Vietnam War, is so concerned is this concept of a domino theory. And we need to make sure we understand the domino theory. President Eisenhower, who was the president this time, outlines the domino theory. And his concept is if one country falls to communism, then others would also fall, like a row of dominoes. And if we look here on the right, we have China, then Korea. Korea's hitting Vietnam. Now Vietnam's going to hit Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Burma, India. So the concern was they need to stop these dominoes from knocking over more countries, or they have to stop the spread of communism. All right. The domino theory was accepted by those who followed Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, and Nixon, and this was the main justification for sending troops to Vietnam. All right. It wasn't so much about Vietnam itself. It was about ensuring that the communist ideas in Vietnam did not spread to all these other countries that you see on the right. All right. And this once again goes with that policy of containment. Some talking points to keep in mind for tomorrow. Do you believe the United States was justified in their involvement in the wars in Korea and Vietnam? Why or why not? And explain. And the second talking point, why did the U.S. fear the domino theory? What were they afraid was going to happen if they did not get involved in Asia? We will talk about that tomorrow. And your check for understanding today, which is a valid conclusion based on the United States' involvement in the Korean War. 1. The policy of containment was applied in Asia as well as in Europe. 2. The United States' economic sanctions are more effective than military action. 3. The American people will support the United States' participation in any war, whether declared or undeclared. Or 4. United States cooperation with a wartime ally ends when the war ends. And we will discuss that answer tomorrow in class. Have a good night.